Hey, hello friends. My name's Dan. Thank you for joining me today for some late stage glazing. More about that in a minute. First of all, this is Daily Art Adventure number 620. 620. Only 380 to go before I hit 1,000. All right. This is a painting I started last week sometime. I've worked on it little by little throughout the week, just a little here and a little there. And I like the way it's looking. It's got really good potential. I don't want to ruin it. The plan is I'm going to finish this painting on Saturday at a fundraiser for Band Together, downtown Raleigh. So if by any chance you're local, you're listening, opening bid on the painting will be $4,000, and it's for a good cause. And it's all dry, and I'm about to do some glazes, as you see there in the title, but I decided before I do that, come on, let's get my, there we go, get my monitor going. All right, before I do that though, I want to do some mess, some intentional whoops, got some little munchkin problems here. The 2-year-old has found his lungs. Very hard to describe what it is that I'm doing here. Okay, that's enough of the real short choppy marks, so I don't want to go that direction any further. I have discovered, let's go green and yellow. I've discovered that a good time to do this kind of thing is right before a glaze, because while I'm doing the glaze, I can modify. So let me show you what I'm using here, by the way. These are Shiva oil paint sticks. I like them. The challenge for me is that many of the colors are not colors that I can use readily. I need some light colored stuff. Like I would love to have some light blue and light green, but they don't have that. So all right, that's enough. Probably too much. Now let's talk about the glaze. Then here's my palette. I have somewhere in the house, I have some walnut alkyd, and that's what I prefer to use, but I can't find it and I don't want to waste any more time looking. So I will do something else that I've done before. That is, I'm going to combine a slow dry medium called Neo McGilt. I say every time I use it, I say the most unfortunately named art product that I've ever heard. Gouache isn't a very good name either. But Neo McGilt has got to be the winner for a lack of poetic ear, you know, lack of sweet sound. So I am mixing and try to do about 50-50 liquid and Neo McGilt. All right? And I hope I have some 3-inch. I do, some 3-inch brushes. All right, so we're gonna mix this together. I want it thoroughly mixed so that I don't have any bits that dry differently. All right, why am I doing this? Boy, here we go again. We've talked about this a lot, and then I've gotten some, what's the word, kickback. That's putting it too strongly. I've gotten some feedback, I'll put it that way, from some listeners. Well, one in particular who sounded very intelligent and quoted Winsor Newton, trying to say that anyway. Nope. It astounded me. Okay, let me just be. This is pure physics. This is not a matter of opinion, or I don't know what else to say. Fat over lean? No. Fast dry underneath and slow dry on top. Reverse order. Think about it. If the outside, the top dries first, and then what's underneath dries slowly, you're going to get problems. It's unstable. And so you just cannot do that. So the reason I'm doing a mixture of half liquid, because I've used quite a bit of liquid in this whole painting, but it's likely that there's some bits here or there that I put some paint on that had either none or almost no liquid in it. Are you with me? And if that's so, then I'd be asking for real trouble. So I'm not going to take that chance. So I'm doing right now a medium slow dry. A medium slow dry medium. Okay? And I'm going to cover the entire canvas. Right at the moment, I put a little bit of oxide red on my palette and on my brushes. Now, I don't know if, let me find a place where you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to zoom in right here. Do you see this orange line? I just made that a few minutes ago, right? And there's some yellow lines down here. Now, if I keep rubbing with these brushes, that orange line will completely disappear. So if one of the marks that I made just a few minutes ago doesn't seem to be working for me, then I'll just rub it till it disappears. Very rarely will I make that decision, however. Most of the time, I'll rub it a little bit like there's a yellow stripe right here. I'll rub it a little bit to diminish it, but very rarely will I intentionally make the whole thing disappear. So that's, I've discovered a good trick. Do the oil sticks right before you do a glaze. Now they work well after too, but if you do them before, then you can rub them out to taste, just the right amount. So right now there's a little blush of yellow here, here, here. It's all the result of that one stroke. It goes all the way up here. I don't particularly like it right there. Just wiped it out. And it's a little color surprise. And the fact that it kind of skips, like it's here, then there's a blank, and it's here, it's a blank, and it's here. Our eyes pick up subconsciously on those kinds of things. Yeah, you guys, let's pick on this one, just for instance. Great big yellow. What was I thinking? Right? So let's play with that a little bit. Let's raise up the easel so I don't have to bend over quite so far. I can work a little bit more freely. Sure, I'll start way down here at the bottom. It doesn't take much to make it disappear, so. Yeah, okay, just a little bit less right there. So now there's just, and A little bit less right there. Yeah, now there's just this ghost of that stroke, and it's very pleasant ghost. And again, I've got a tiny bit of oxide red, which of course, as you know, is not red, it's brown. It's very close to burnt sienna. Oxide red, certainly one of my favorite colors. This is one of the few tubes of paint that I always buy a larger tube. That's Charvan, by the way. Good paint company, and little by little, you know, you discover which colors you like in which manufacturer, which company, and because they're all slightly different. And I found that I really like the Charvan. It's C-H-A-R-V-I, Charvan. Charvan for you francophones. Some of you saying, what's a francophone? Some of you are maybe asking, you new people, so, but why are you doing a glaze over the whole painting anyway? One answer, kind of smart aleck answer a little bit. I always answer it in the same way. The answer is because ain't a color made that don't look better with something else on top of it, okay? In other words, glazes always look good. Because I'm creating, and again, this is a physics issue. This is not like a matter of opinion. This is a matter of physics, that transparent colors are more complex than opaque colors. So adding a layer of color on top of what's already there makes the whole thing more visually complex. And generally speaking, our eyes would rather see more than less. I know. Of course, that can be taken too far, and that's where all the less is more parrots start squawking. Less is more, less is more, less is more. Anyway, never mind. I've got a whole page in my book that is yet to be published in one form or another about that less is more statement. Please don't say it in my presence, unless you're the one that made it up, and you're not. So there, don't. That was rough, wasn't it? Wow. His bark's worse than his bite, I promise. Now, as with all glazes, here in a few minutes when I finish glazing as much as I want, I will pick up a couple rags and erase, lift out, lighten areas. But we're far from that yet. Before I go there, probably areas, I'm all the way to the ceiling up there. Probably areas I'll want to darken, and especially since so far I've done just one color. I've never, I don't think, ever done a glaze over a whole canvas of just one color and left it at that. So I'm missing a big opportunity to introduce lots of color excitement to the canvas. So I'll probably do some blue, some red, yellow, green, who knows? Who knows? Again, I'm playing with those oil stick marks that I made a little while ago, erasing them just to an extent. Erasing is certainly not the operative word. I'm pushing them back just to the right degree, to the right amount. some ultramarine violet right here. Pretty powerful stuff. Williamsburg, good paint company. So some purple. Or violet if you prefer. And anywhere, so the purple is sort of, among the things, it's an anti-green color. Not as much as red, of course, that's even more anti-green, but the purple pushes back green quite a bit. And it's a darkening color. The world of transparent colors is not the same as the world of opaque colors. Okay, there's several differences. Never use your teeth to open the paint. Now I'm putting out another purple. This is, can't read it. But it's purple. Oh, violet. Yeah, in this area here, a little bit. There's several respects in which opaque mixed colors on your palette do not behave the same as layers of transparent. One of the most obvious, I talk about this often, is that there's no such thing as transparent red. Okay? If you do take, say, a cad red and make it transparent with a lot of medium, it will not feel to your eye, that's a cross between eye and heart, to your art. It won't feel like red, it'll feel like bubblegum pink, which is not usually what the artist had in mind. If you pick up red and make it transparent, you're not thinking, golly, some bubblegum pink would look good right here. Instead, if you want transparent in the red family, you have to go magenta. What else? In the transparent world, in the world of transparent colors, purple is the dark one. So I'm using purple right now. Purple is the darkest color. So I'm using that intentionally right now, looking for things that I want darker, like the shady side of this. This is a cemetery here. I know I'll lose a few sales to some people because they don't want a picture of a cemetery hanging in their office. Frankly, I feel sorry for people that feel that way, but that's their business. I'll just leave them be. Okay, I feel like that's probably enough of the violet. I put those brushes down and not waste my time or yours cleaning those brushes. Let me look for a Indian yellow. Sorry, I don't usually waste your time rummaging around looking for colors. Transparent oxide yellow. That'll do. It's not Indian yellow, a little more, considerably more subtle, but still very nice color. Transparent oxide yellow. And I basically I don't have any more pile of that mixed medium on my palette anymore. If I need any more, I will mix it up. All right, yellow. Do I want yellow in here anywhere? Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, it's a nice yellow. Okay, come on down, easel. Now, when I finish this glaze, of course, because I've just darkened the entire canvas, right? By putting a glaze on it. By definition, that means I've made it darker. Therefore, according to my rules, that means I have to follow through, come next, and do some light. So it'll be back to opaque paint in just a minute. Here and there and here and there, just little bits here and there. Okay, but I think I'm done with that. Now let's see, I think I could put my hands right on some permanent rose, which is the color that you want for transparent. There we go. Transparent red. You want a magenta-ish, cold red. Not warm red would be orange. Cold red is toward purple. And permanent rose is certainly my favorite of those. All right, so I have on my brushes right now quite a hot pink. But my brushes are also still dirty with the yellow, so at the moment they're coming off a little bit orange. Wow. Can you guys see that? I just added quite a, I'm going to leave it there for now. And I know this might be dreadfully boring because you guys, what I'm doing is so subtle. I'm not sure how much of it is really translating through your screen, especially if you're watching on a phone or an iPhone. But it's certainly making quite a difference. The overall painting is just more interesting now, more rich than it was a few minutes ago. All right, I'm going to stop there. Let's move on then to a rag. Turn this into two rags so I can have one in each hand. All right, what do I want now? What do I want lighter? I want bits of the sky. So again, I'm painting with a rag. I'm definitely not erasing. I'm being very cautious, gentle. A little bit of that building, a little bit of that roof. That right there, that building, and this building. Yeah, there we go. Definitely. Ooh, that was good. And this right side of that building. I've said this often when you're doing this ragging out, painting with a rag, you have exquisite degree of control. And so you get to be a control freak without sliding into the dangers, the downside that are typically associated with being a control freak, right? So it's great fun. It's not detail control, but it's values control. Just control nonetheless. All right, that might be all. Okay, I can use those rags some more. Now, if you'll forgive me just a minute, I need to run out to the garage, to the freezer, which is where I keep my paints, and get my other palette. So hang on just a minute. Sorry about this. I'll be right back. Bad planning here. All right, now these paints have to thaw for a while, so I'll just leave them here, and I'll use the palette I've been using for a few minutes. Okay, so it's opaque time. What does that mean? That means titanium white, right? You can use zinc white if you like to waste money. I know there's probably some fabulous painters out there who just absolutely swear by zinc white and say it's the only way to go for mixing, blah, blah, sometimes called mixing white. Now, if you'll forgive me, by picking up my palette, I got paint on my fingers. I just wiped off my paint with Turpenoid. Forgive me, once again, it means I'm running to the kitchen to wash my hands. So what do you do? Am I connected? So what do you do if you're out painting in the field and you get Gamsol Turpenoid on your hands? Well, wet wipes of some kind, some kind of handy cleaner. Wipe cleaners is a good option there. All right. Now, even before I start painting though, most of these lines that I'm doing right now, of course, have little to do with realism, similitude, with capturing the image per se. They have to do with creating interesting marks. And I'm doing a little bit too much of it, but that's okay, because I'd rather have too much than too little, because I can easily push this pencil back in the stages to come, right? Like the next stage, which is opaque. And you understand when I say opaque, it's opaque paint. But if I apply it very thinly, which is likely to be the case, it becomes translucent paint. So I call it opaque, but very often what I'm really doing is translucent. But either one of those will push these pencil marks back. Very unconventional. By the way, the pencils are delightful in the wet glaze. I mean, just really, really soupy, slippery. They just make really, really nice marks. And as you can probably tell, many of my marks are quite chaos, spastic, abstract, not realistic, like that. Those marks have absolutely nothing. I'm not drawing. Every once in a while I use the pencils for drawing, making something like this right here, this ridge on this building. That was slightly representational, but more of the marks are not. All right, that's enough of that. Finally now. This is a good painting. That's not bragging. That's a little bit fear, to tell you the truth. It's like, dang, I do not want to mess this painting up, because it's working quite well. It really has the bones of a good painting. Hey, there's some chat comments over here. Hey, David, good to hear from you again. Yeah, I keep Uncle 57 says I keep paints next to the deer meat in the freezer. Yeah. David, you talking about this green roof or this one? That one or that? Both of those need a little bit of work. I just did a little bit with the pencil right there. Let me show you part of the painting that, I was thinking it was far from done, but this right here, where this building completely fades and disappears into sky. And when I did that, I thought, well, I'll come back and finish that later. But then as I've looked at it over the last week, I thought, oh, no, I like that. Just, okay, David says, maybe darken the trees in the center bit under the blue building. David, actually, here's what I'm thinking. Yeah, these are the same. I want these trees to be darker and these lighter because they're further away. At the moment, this feels too busy to me. I like it when I look up close, but when I stand back, it's just too busy. So I think I'm going to do something to try to, not carefully painting, but some kind of swoosh. Anyway, we'll see. That area does need something. All right, what have I got on my brushes? Oh, green. The reason is I've got a composition issue that I want to fix here very quickly. Forgive me while I put out more paint. I'm working with a new, it was a bare palette a minute ago. I don't usually waste your time mixing colors, but I am here right now. All right, a pale spring green. Yeah, Uncle 57, the Horatio, the gloves in a bottle. You know what? I was told to say that in some of those ads way back when, and I really liked it. Then come to find out, they found out later, they pulled the product because it didn't do what it said it would do. So I felt pretty embarrassed because I actually used it for a while because I thought, dang, this is a great idea. Turns out it doesn't protect. So that's why Jerry's pulled it off. All right, let me tell you what I'm doing right here. I'm glad you mentioned that so that I can pass that sad report on to you all. I had, the painting is too divided. This line right here is too impermeable, too stiff solid. So I fixed it already by making this dark and making the line disappear. But I realized that if I could create a little isthmus, an isthmus is a narrow piece of land between two bodies of water. It can be on part of a peninsula or just where two lakes come real close together and the land is real narrow in between. That's an isthmus. And if I can create an isthmus of light right here, I feel like the painting will improve. So I already punched down last week the orange of the building down this way, but then as I've looked at it in the last week, I realized no, if I just come in here with some pale green, some of this pale green stuff, I think it will work. I don't really have to explain too much. It just looks like sun on bushes, right? It's like, here's, so that I'm connecting this light stuff with this light stuff. Okay, I'm going to call that done for the moment. I think the next area that I've really been pondering over is this up here. So let's tackle that. And I think that I want that to be, what is this? Ooh, phthalo blue. Yeah, phthalo might work. Let's try. Phthalo is dangerous, as you all know. I've heard some people in years past say, ooh, don't use phthalo. That's very foolish, very foolish. As a beginner, sure, you learn respect for phthalo, but you don't reject it from your palate because you don't learn how to drive it. You just learn how to drive it, that's all. If I can use that word picture. Never use your teeth, boys and girls. Just got back from the dentist this afternoon. Had a good report. That's good. Got cleaned. I love clean teeth. All right, I'm trying to create here a pale, not too chroma. Right now I've got sort of, well, let you watch me for a minute. I've got sort of a dirty aqua going on right now. Oh, you're just getting all glare, aren't you? Sorry about that. No, okay, sorry, hang on. Now all you're seeing is my head, I know. And are you seeing my drawer of oil paints right here? By the way, what do you call this cabinet cupboard next to tabaret? An artist's tabaret, right? That's the traditional name for it. My tabaret is a early 20th century, it's called an apothecary. An apothecary, of course, is an old-fashioned name for a druggist or a pharmacist, called the apothecary. And this is a traditional, I'll show it to you sometime when we can see it better, but it's a traditional filing cabinet. So all of his patients, you'd have their records on 3x5 cards. So the drawers are deep, and I love it. It's been part of my studio for 30 years. My mother-in-law bought it for me at auction 30 years ago when we had just moved to Raleigh. I have another piece of antique furniture that you can't see. Okay, back to, whoops. You completely fell off. Okay, hang on, we're not done yet. Back there I have a barrister bookcase. You'll have to Google that. Barrister is old-fashioned name for a lawyer, an attorney. And they had a very particular kind of bookcase. All right, so I got my ultramarine up finally. There we go. Now I'm getting a color closer to what I'm looking for. Oh, that's the 2-year-old. All right, now I like what I've got on my brushes. I've got, my brushes are way too small. Let me stand back and look at that for a minute. way back. It's going in the right direction. If I have some there, I want some over here. So the idea is this tree, this mass right here, is on this side of this building. So it's up close, it's dark. I should add some, I'll need to add some dark to this side of this tree. And then all this blue stuff that I've just done is supposed to be, of course, trees that are further away, including these back here. So again, let me step back and see if I'm accomplishing what I'm trying to accomplish here. Forgive me, standing way back. It's closer, and I don't have to get it perfect tonight. This is not my last day on this painting. Mix up a little bit more of that. Just a tiny bit of detail right there.
Did you talk to Alicia? She's on her phone. Where? Yeah, say hi, Papa.
Yay, Papa just got home. My name is Bigka. Yeah, it's probably not the final layer there. I may come back with another glaze day after tomorrow, but that's going in a good direction. I'm going to leave it right the way it is. Before I finish tonight, I'm not going to do much. Again, partly because this is a good painting. I keep saying that, forgive me. I don't want to mess up. But before I go today, I'm mixing up some more bright green for the bright side of some of these trees. You'll notice maybe the way that I'm painting something as ordinary as trees. I did the same thing here. I've described this style of movement before when I've talked about doing clouds. Painting realistic trees is very, very easy to me because I know what trees look like. In fact, I'm doing a couple classes, one in August and one in November this year. One at Art of the Carolinas. I hope you'll sign up if you want. It's how to paint trees. I've studied trees a lot. I think I'm pretty good at it. Doing realism is not the challenge. My style of painting, somebody else, David LaFell, called this style abstract realism, which I think is a great description. So I borrowed it, stole it from him, and say, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Abstract. So what that means is the abstract marks are paramount, are more important than representational realistic marks. So rather than sort of sticking out my tongue and painting leaves or trees, foliage, my tongue is securely stuck in my mouth. I don't know about you, but my tongue's inside my mouth. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm being facetious. So I'm concentrating more on making, you could almost say, athletic marks. small muscle athletic. Never one greatly known for his athletic prowess. So again, so the marks I'm making, I'm more concerned about the way that I'm moving than I am trying to replicate, foliage in this case. Just a little bit more. I think here's something I've thought I can work on. Just some of these gravestone markers. They've gotten darker and darker and darker because I haven't done anything to them since I just sketched them in a couple weeks ago. I don't even remember when I started this painting, but it's been a little while. So let's mix up some light neutral something. All right. And again, more concerned about the feel of the line than similitude. Whew, sorry, I thought I heard some bad crying there. All right, here's another trick. I've been doing this a lot in this painting. A lot of the marks that I put down, that was nice. I don't just put them down and leave them. I put them down and then scratch them with something. So a lot of put it down, then mess it up going on here throughout this entire painting. Painting with two hands is a huge help, advantage, benefit in this whole realm of making what I'm calling athletic marks. I've never used that term before. That's not a bad term. So you saw what I just did right there, right? I would put it down and I just flung the brush and made this. Now, sometimes when you do that, you go, oh, that didn't work very well. But very often then I just come back and say, okay, I'm gonna resharpen that edge a tiny bit, and yeah, that's a nice mark right there. And you probably can't see this. Let me zoom in and, yeah, let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna move the camera because that way I'm less likely to forget to move you again in a few minutes, okay? So hang on. I just want you to watch this. Do you see? There's a pencil line right here. It's completely abstract, has nothing to do with anything. Goes all the way through there. Now, I just brought a brush mark down to that line and stopped. Then I'm going to do another mark right underneath it. There's another line right here. Do you see it? Has absolutely not, this one up here too, has nothing to do with realism. Those are abstract marks. But look what happens when I take one of those abstract marks, and not only am I not wiping it out or diminishing it, I'm actually greatly accentuating it. I do this a lot. Now that is right there. Am I on camera? Yeah. That is a classic, if you want to know, has turned into a classic Dan Nelson mark. I mean, if I didn't know I was me, but I knew my artwork, forgive me for being rather silly at the moment, I would be able to look at that mark and say, yep, that is the Dan Nelson mark. What is it? It's real simple. It's real obvious. An abstract, often pencil mark, could be anything, but pencil in particular, that I have then come up and painted. I did it 3 times on this gravestone. Sorry, the top one is off the camera. I did it 3 times. There, there, and there. And I can do a little bit more down here of this light stuff. So, am I on camera? No, just off, sorry. Sorry about that. So I just put a mark like right there, and then I took my thumb and went like that. And then I'm going to take this brush and re-edge that. And yeah, now that smears, I like it. It's a little too much of a good thing. So there, now we're good. And just a dot right there. All of this talk that I'm doing right here, including this little bit of red that I love. I don't know what possessed me to put that there, but I sure am glad that I did it. This is all a good example of what it means to do abstract realism painting. It's not realism. The abstract marks are considerably more important than the realism, okay? In recent weeks, maybe even months, I've been saying the first half, there's a lot of truth in this, I believe. That's why I'm going to say it again. The first half of our art journey, for most people, entails learning how to paint stuff that looks like stuff. Do you see I just did the same thing with that line? I painted underneath it, painted up to it, but then it was too much, so I broke it up. Now it just is kind of a dotted line, and it works very, very nicely. That's right, the first half of our art journey is spent learning how to paint stuff that looks like stuff. The second half of our art journey is learning how to paint stuff that looks like paint. Many people never get to that stage, and that's all right. Maybe that's why they were put on the planet, to not do that. And of course, I'm reflecting, of course, my own strong opinion on the subject, I'd say. An opinion birthed from decades of work and observing others. Now what I'm doing, again, I talk about this so often, it's almost a mantra. When you're painting now, as I am with opaque colors, you put down one color, then you come back, usually right then, so you don't forget, and you do a slightly lighter version of that color on top. So that's what you see me doing right here. Too much energy right there, too much. All right, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. I've never heard myself sneeze with a monitor in my ear. That was an interesting experience. All right, now I'm trying to mix up something roughly resembling orange with the funny colors I have here. I would describe also part of my painting process is several years ago, I did some nice paintings. I lucked out every once in a while and did something nice. But far too often, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know why it was. I knew some of the reasons why it was nice. But at this stage in my journey right now, I know a lot better what makes a painting good. And boy, do I want to learn more. Oh my goodness. All right, time to back you guys up. I said I was going to do grave markers, and then I ended up not doing very much. Hey, quick, not to sound like something money-grubbing huckster, but I have something new on my channel starting just 2 days ago. that thing called Super Chat. If you like what I do, if you've been watching for a while and you want to send me 5, 10, or 10,000 bucks, anywhere in between there, $1. Don't you love it when the people asking for money? No gift is too small. No gift is too large either. Oh, good grief. Anyway, you can send me a few dollars and just to help my wife believe that it's really worth my while doing all this. She keeps asking me, are you getting any money from all that yet? So if you guys would help out my marriage, I'm being pretty facetious. You'll be glad to know. Very happily married. I see some comments that I'm ignoring at the moment. I'll get to those in a minute. All right, there is a lot more I could do. The more I do here, the more I see that needs to be done. But I don't need to do too much. I think I'm gonna end. And all those grade markers that I just did, I'll come back and touch those all again. But I wanna do a little bit of definition up here. Hi, Avi. Yes, you may sit right there. Do you need help getting up there? Okay.
I did it by myself.
Did you do it by yourself? Yeah. Way to go, buddy. That's Avi. He is 2. How old are you?
3.
And he is so cute, we threaten to eat him every day. Don't we? Do you think we should eat you, Avi?
Nope.
No, I don't think we...
We'll have you to eat. I see you.
Do you see me?
Yeah. In the picture.
In my picture, and my picture.
Yeah.
He's quite excited about that.
Abby.
Oh, he just saw himself.
I see Abby.
The iPad monitor lags
I see his face.
about 40 seconds behind, so he just saw himself right there.
I see you.
Did you see yourself?
Yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it?
I see you.
Yes, you do. All right. Shh.
I see you. I see you.
This whole little architectural element right here, this little
I see your face.
gable needs some work. I'm just gonna touch on it right now and come back and do more later. That's a little better, but more later.
I see your face. Hi, Rita. I see your face.
Ooh, that's quite the mark.
I'm gonna see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that for right now. I might tone it down later. But for right now, I'm just gonna leave that crazy swoosh there. The color on my brushes is a
Ew.
pale, very pale, brownish gray, French gray, perhaps some would call it. brown, very, very pale. Don't touch that, Avi. It's very messy, very yucky. Yeah, ew, is right. All right, gang, I think it's time for me to quit. Not that there isn't lots for me to do, there is. But I want to go slow, take my time, dwell on it, and have a lot to do have enough to do on Saturday, which I'm certainly not running out of things to do. Never rub a painting with a tissue, by the way. And do as I say, not as I do, because it leaves lint. Tissue is terrible, but anyway, I got away with it. All right, now Avi, now I have to talk to my friends who left chats here. Okay? Yeah. Good. Horatio liked my rid mark. Thank you. My shirt is a good color to use. Yes, it is. I should get more of that color. In fact, that's so funny you say that, Horatio, because I've got a weird thing in me. I really want somewhere in this painting, probably just a little bit, but I want to have a nice little spark of pale aqua, pale turquoise, high chroma, quite intense. It's a color I don't use very often. I don't know why I think that. I'm just going to hope and trust that my intuition is right, that I want that. David suggests blue on the cemetery stones. Good idea. Yes, that would be that'd be a good on several of them, reflecting the sky. Thanks, David. Good thought. I'll remember that. And Uncle 60, how do you thin the last layer of paint tonight? Liquid? Oh no, it was a mixture of. If you didn't get here in time, that was a mixture of Neil McGilp, 50-50, Neil McGilp and liquid, mixed thoroughly together. Now, on Saturday, when I may do another glaze, maybe. If I do, that will be pure Neil McGilp, and that will take a week to dry. So that's the way it goes. All right, Raymond Abbott. Thank you, man. Testing out to see if my super chat works, and it does. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that very much. My wife will be glad to know. I made $2 tonight. Thank you, Raymond. Building at the top right looks like Darth Vader. With that comment, now, Raymond, you're going to have to help me. This one right here? This. You're going to have to help me. Which one? Is that the mask? Which building looks like Darth Vader? That is hilarious. I appreciate that. You're going to have to help me out a little bit more. Thank you, David. I've been very humble for a long time. Orgasm. What a name. New Bob Ross. Thank you very much. You guys, I love it when you talk to or about each other. That's hilarious. David says, my first half took me 25 years. There you go, David. You with me? Was your journey like mine? Mine took it 30, probably 40 maybe. Thank you. So David's talking about this. First half of the art journey, learn how to paint stuff that looks like stuff, draw stuff that looks like stuff. Second half, learn how to paint. You get freed up. See, this abstract shaft of red and blue is more important than treeness. People you can tell those are trees, but painting trees is easy. Painting abstract beauty is hard. You can tell this is a grave marker. What's that red thing doing there? I don't know, but dang, does it look cool. All right, so that's looking stuff that looks like stuff. Nick Meyer, painting along with me. Way to go, Nick. I hope you keep up and keep. He talks up a storm, smart boy. Above the columns. Above these columns, I take it. Darth Vader, right there. Oh, no, above these columns. right? That looks like Darth Vader. It does. There, I think that's the part you're talking about. I'll work on it. I'll try to. I am your son. I mean, I'm your father. I can't even get the line right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you for joining me. I'm happy with the little bit that I got done. There's lots of little bit of stuff everywhere that still needs doing, but I'm not in a hurry. It is surprising. I'm in a stage of life where it's still surprising me how much abstraction you can throw into a realistic painting and it still works. For instance, let me grab you and just show you before I go here. I think I did these pencil marks tonight. And you see those pencil marks right there? That's crazy, but dang, it looks kind of neat. Now, these pencil marks up here, I did not do those tonight. I did those several days ago, and that looks good too. So there's just all kinds of things. Marks, pencil marks, colors, brush strokes, scratches. One of my favorites here, I think, is I took a palette knife, loaded up with a fair amount. It wasn't this one; it was a little narrow. A fair amount of pale green paint, and just went like this. So it went, and it hit the canvas right there, and dragged up to here. And I love the way that looked. I got myself in the mood. Let's clean up a little bit of. Yeah, that's all right. I'm a little bit tentative, you can tell. Not quite as brave as I was the other night. All right, I keep saying I'm done. I keep going. Yeah, Raymond, thank you. Thank you, got it. The Darth Vader section right here. Love it. All right, and as you know, I'm open to suggestions. David had a good one tonight about blue on the grave markers. That would be broken color, wouldn't it, David? If it's the right value, but there's a little touch of blue right there. That will work well. And of course, logically, it makes sense too because it's reflecting from the sky. All right, been fun. That's enough for today. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow, I hope.